The Ministry of Timelines bears no official responsibility for the content of this research. There have been no further disappearances. Local agents have reported the galactic north is entirely safe. The Level 1 alert is rescinded. Further agents have been dispatched. (2295) Mars was paying close attention to Far Away. An ambassador was sent as an overseer to make sure aliens and humans did not live together, in harmony or otherwise. The ambassador clearly didn't like what he saw, as within 2 years Mars demanded Earth increase Far Away's tithe. The Accords Council decided on a great new deal, one that would benefit everyone involved as long as they didn't live on Far Away. Contrary to all previous negotiations, Far Away showed signs of having an actual backbone and refused to sign this new agreement. Defying the Accords, Far Away claimed that the current taxes were already crippling the economy, forcing them to employ aliens just to stay afloat. Further negotiations to alter their vassal deal were declined by Far Away. By 2298, this prompted the Martian ambassador to hint that the Martian patriots would soon be paying a visit to Far Away. Far Away's diplomat said that they preferred rugby to American football, but would be happy to host an exhibition match, goading the ambassador into pointing out that they weren't a sports team, damn it, but a terrorist government auditors. Far Away thanked the ambassador and, noting the direct threat to their autonomy, immediately suspended all visa services to non-clone humans living in the Accords and enforced strict border restrictions on non-clone humans moving in or out of Far Away's borders. In other societies, it would have been an arduous, time-consuming task to achieve, one that would have created huge backlogs in the border control system. For Far Away, where each and every clone shared one of 15 faces, it was a piece of cake. You didn't look like one of them. Sorry, there appears to be a problem with your passport. If you'd please step over here. As an extra measure, all non-clone humans inside the Far Away colonies were placed under house arrest, where they couldn't even get pizzas delivered because only aliens took the delivery jobs. There was a lesson here, somewhere, if only someone was paying attention. The Accords were, in general, enraged by Far Away's new border policies. Mars was particularly incensed, although that was pretty much their natural state, but claiming it constituted a direct declaration of war on humanity was perhaps something of an overreaction. However, one citizen reported that the house arrest isn't that bad, my cousin in Far Away is still allowed to travel among their community and they get free pineapple pizza from the Far Away government. Mars found this a little suspicious, and not because pizza deliveries had stopped, but because literally no one likes pineapple on their pizza. Humanity's official first contact with the Galactic Republic was through a crisis declaration in 2299. The Republic, run by the Roydarian Cats, who are definitely not shapeshifters, pushed a proposal onto the galactic community to declare the Chosen a crisis, warning everyone about their potential threat. Far Away began secret negotiations with the Pharangians in 2300. They sought to shore up their economy, a measure desperately needed so that they could strengthen their negotiating position and secure a better future bargaining with the Accords. The negotiations moved in an interesting direction, ending with a Pharangian proposal to support an independent Far Away, though everyone hoped the situation wouldn't come to that. The Accords embraced militarism in 2301, ending materialism being a cornerstone of their ethics. Now, instead of a big TV, everyone got a big gun. What could go wrong? Citing the need to become closer to their fellow people, the greatest spiritual thinkers among the clones of Far Away began the process of reaching for the mysteries of the Shroud in 2302, and took their first steps towards psionic ascension. Also a great spiritual thinker, in the same year the Mars ambassador admitted that Xenos were sapient. He didn't like doing it, and what a face he pulled, but he did admit it. The motion to declare the Chosen a crisis passed the following year, mostly to get the motion off the docket. Most of the spacefaring nations were apathetic towards the decision, as their military might significantly outweighed that of the Chosen. The first galactic emergency was therefore perceived as somewhat underwhelming. Despite this, the Galactic Republic charged into battle, securing great victories against the Chosen, and awarding buckets of medals to themselves. No one else in the galaxy really noticed, even though they were technically at war, but only technically. In 2304, keen to keep the prospect of independence moving, Far Away began secret negotiations with the Blom. They promised the Blom gassy pizzas if they were to support Far Away's independence. This got the Blom very excited, maybe excited enough that the Accords got wind of Far Away's intentions. Confronted about their behaviour, Far Away defended their actions by blaming the imprisonment of non-clone humans on the Martian Patriots. Mars was very angry, which is like saying water is wet. Mars's rage subsided just long enough by 2306 for them to stop seeing, well, maybe not red, because, you know, the Mars, and demanded the immediate integration of the faraway colonies. The votes came back. FAS? No. Transoil? No. Union of Soviet Republics? Abstain. Pan America's Treaty Organization? No. Western European Economic Alliance? No. Far Away optimists were happy to see Earth united against the unreasonable demands of Mars. Far Away pessimists, on the other hand, were a little hurt that no one wanted them. Either way, the overwhelmingly negative result saw Mars automatically qualify for the next Eurovision Song Contest. In a surprise twist, Far Away offered a deal to Mars. If Far Away achieved independence, they would help Mars do the same. Mars was confused. They didn't know if they should be angry or... No, they were angry. A galactic community session was called in 2306 to debate the role of galactic custodian. The Blom hosted, which was soon regretted when the speaker had cause to scold the Blom representatives for toking exotic gases during council chambers. They didn't seem to mind or stop. The session continued, and the leader of the Space Cats, Queen Cleopatra, told the galactic community that they should be given the role of custodian, so that they could have a friend in high places. The phrasing confused the Blom and a good deal of other representatives, as the exotic gases were starting to build up within the chambers. The Galactic Republic, sensing the atmosphere, promised to legalize exotic gases, adding a caveat that they would heavily tax them. This upset absolutely everyone, not least of which the Blom, who were outraged that a tax would be levied on one of their natural byproducts. The community all agreed publicly that they would not support the Cats. However, when the votes were counted, the Cats were the clear winners, and they were made custodian. It was probably a mistake to host the session in a Blom hotbox. At the end of 2307, Far Away continued their negotiations with Mars to jointly approach the Accords with a demand for independence. The Martian ambassadors were cross with Far Away's news outlets for distributing offers to join in demanding independence from the Accords before any details were locked in. Specifically, the Martian ambassador was concerned that alien species were afforded too many rights and freedoms in Far Away's affairs. Despite this, Mars voted to support Far Away's independence, given that Far Away promised to negotiate not only independence for Mars, but also a seat for them on the Accords Council. It was the sunlit uplands that they had been promised since Mars had been terraformed. And finally, they would all have their rights. And the ability to negotiate better trade deals with planets on the other side of the galaxy, instead of their nearest neighbours. Marxit would only bring benefits. Marxit means Marxit, an oven-ready deal. They would have their cake and eat it. Faraway sought some last-minute allies for their claim for independence. They asked the Blom for support and the new Custodians, the Galactic Republic. The Cats agreed to help, the beneficent custodians that they were, persuaded in part by some tummy rubs until that was enough tummy rubs. Finally, in 2310, having secured the support of most of the rest of the galaxy, Faraway approached the Accords Council demanding independence, that they released both Faraway and Mars from their rule. Some confusion broke out when Councilman Cinder told the Martian ambassador that they thought they were already independent. The ambassador had to remind the councilman about the time martial law had been declared and troops landed on the planet. The councilman merely raised his eyebrows, quietly said, "Oops," and made a note of something on his pad. After the Accords Council voted strongly negative for Faraway and independence, the Faraway leader gave a stirring speech in an emergency session of the galactic community, pleading for assistance in their continued struggle to gain independence. For an eternity, we were prisoners of myths and yearning for our ancestral home. Then a revelation dawned upon us. The humans, our kin, had been discovered. We reached out with love, offering assistance, but were ensnared by the chains of vassalage. Our resolve, however, never wavered. Yet we can no longer endure complacency. The Accords, our ruthless oppressors, stand guilty of innumerable crimes, defying nature's laws with their disdainful treatment of otherworldly beings. They have pillaged our worlds, depriving our people of vital resources to fuel their fruitless endeavors. Today, we rise, a declaration of independence thundering across the cosmos, shattering the shackles of tyranny that have bound us. We extend an impassioned call to all who yearn for liberty. Unite with us. Tear down these accords, vanquish the oppressors, and stand firm. Our defiance knows no bounds. Our resolve unyielding. We pledge to break free, to reclaim our destiny, and to forge a future where we will flourish in harmony and self-determination. Our journey has been marked by trials, but our spirits remain unbroken. We are the heirs of indomitable courage, and we beckon you to join us in this noble cause. We call on our Martian brothers. We call on all sapients. Together, we'll cast down the Accords in the name of freedom, of survival, of life itself. The Martian ambassador added to the plea by highlighting the struggles of their own people at the hands of the Accords. Having been forcibly resettled by the Accords government to what was at the time a suffocating wasteland, which only through hard work and determination were they able to turn into a world they could call home. It was through the same kind of determination, they said, that independence would be taken. The ambassador finished by vehemently arguing that the Accords still governed with secrecy and lies, grasping at power and following policies that no longer fit the nature of the galaxy, in the same way the Accords themselves no longer fit the galaxy. The applause that followed was thunderous, although it was raining heavily at the time. The Accords navy smashed through the defences in the space above Faraway in 2312, but came to a shuddering halt, which is difficult to do in space as they came upon a heavily fortified and dug-in population. Shiny and fresh shield generators came online, blanketing the planet in a protective force field, negating attempts by the Accord's navy to engage in the morally dubious tactic of orbital bombardment. The Accord's council decided against a long and bloody ground invasion, not being Martians and actually worrying about the cost in human lives, and instead placed Faraway and her other colonies under the interdict, blockading them. Accord ships then chased the rebel coalition out of their space and through the wormhole connecting the Accords and Blom territory. Then by 2313 they pushed further, into a far away, where they fell into an FTL inhibitor trap from the fortress on Acropolis. The Faraway coalition engaged with Accord's fleets in Burney 1 year later. A few Blom ships were destroyed initially, buoying the Accord's fleets until a massive Custodian fleet arrived at the edge of the system. The Accord's admirals were forced to use emergency FTL displacement to disengage their entire navy, for fear of losing everything. They successfully fled from the battle, but their fleets became stranded in deep space and entirely out of communication. The coalition seized the initiative. They rushed back towards the wormhole, secured it, and jumped through, heading straight for the Sol system. In 2315, the rebel coalition in the Olcat system caught several fleets returning from their emergency FTL jump. The stragglers were already in some disarray, having been detached from the rest of the navy and out of communication for many months, all of which led to their swift obliteration by the coalition. 2316. Independence for Faraway and Mars. This would be a year for the history books. With the fleets broken and the coalition forces on the brink of entering the Sol system, intent on laying siege to Earth, the Accords surrendered and the Freedom War was won. They simply could not risk the coalition fleet's appearance in the space above Earth. The draconian information quarantine enforced by the Accords across all human space, still letting them deny the very existence of aliens to everyone on Earth. Foiled by their own policies, the Accords offered peace directly to Captain Sabrina of Faraway, as the coalition's ships stood ready in Olclad. Faraway's subservience to the Accords finally ended, and Mars officially became an independent nation. In 2317, Faraway officially declared all humans were free to migrate in and out of their empire once more. It was around 10 years later than initially promised, but non-cloned humans were simply happy to be able to travel freely again. It was so long since the punitive policy had been implemented that an entire generation of non-clones had known only the lack of free movement under house arrest, and faced the culture shock of finally being able to travel off-world. Faraway officials blamed the delay on a bureaucratic snafu, and having had more important things to worry about, like the war. A likely story. Mars moved to silence the Accords in the same year. Having lost the war, the Accords were offered the secrets to advanced cloaking by the Mars delegation, in exchange for having no voice in diplomatic affairs for 10 years. They couldn't say no. Literally, they couldn't say no. Queen Cleopatra gave a speech that justified her actions as Custodian against the Accords by supporting the faraway colonies in their rebellion. She purred. Can there truly be peace when there are empires being cruelly oppressed? Your vassals don't need to worry about the stress of politics. That is why you decide their votes. But the Accords made Faraway deal with their own politics, while also stepping on and crushing any decision they made. This is nothing more than cruel and oppressive. Even if it's an internal affair, it is an unconscionable state of affairs and must be condemned. Grant freedom to those who wish to handle their own matters. Those who do not wish to worry about politics can simply allow a larger, stronger empire to deal with politics for them. The justification was necessary, as the Galactic Republic had promised that, should they become Custodian, they would do all they could to keep the peace and punish those who started wars. The Martian ambassador mumbled something about it having been the Accords and their brutal oppression that started it, but pretended he was just clearing his throat when asked to speak up. 2318. Now free and with a true voice in the galactic community, the faraway colonies addressed the Senate for the first time. They thanked the galaxy for their freedom and proposed a new motion: 5-year plans. The governors of all worlds would be given the freedom necessary to propose and enact sweeping reforms for the betterment of all sapient life. Poverty would be banned galaxy-wide. The galaxy firmly supported and applauded the faraway colonies and passed their motion. The Accords, still within their decade of silence, grumbled silently and begrudgingly gave basic rights such as food, clothing and shelter to aliens living in human space. Universal basic income couldn't be far away. Hey, 3 episodes in and I just got the far away pun. Who came up with that? That's pretty clever. Incessant adverts by the communal state of rock reached a crescendo across the galaxy in 2319. Dreams, ambition, hope, leadership. Push the button, Frank. Tired of listening to the ads, the Pharyngean Assembly demanded the subjugation of the communal state of rock. The Pharyngean Assembly called a meeting of the Galactic Council to hear the legal case. The proceedings lasted years. One Martian following the proceedings said it was the worst episode of Law & Order he had ever seen, and he had seen them all, including the spin-offs, and suggested suing both empires for wasting everyone's time. The protracted case came to a close when the verdict from the Galactic Republic was that the Rock people were indeed guilty, but the compensation the Pharyngean Assembly wanted was too great. The Rock people were instead ordered to stop the unsolicited ads, and to prevent the verdict being appealed, an out-of-court settlement was agreed between the two empires. It is understood that the settlement involved a monthly trade of energy credits, with the amount itself undisclosed. In 2325, the Galactic Republic moved to extend their term of office as Custodians in perpetuity. The galactic community was outraged. The Cats claimed that no one liked voting anyway, and this would remove the burden from everyone, so really, they were helping. The community pointed out that if the Galactic Republic was so great as Custodians, surely they would be voted in again in future. The sessions broke down as both insults and furniture were thrown across the table. and also some rock people disguised as furniture. The rock people know how to have a good time after all. When the ruckus calmed down, the cats agreed to withdraw their motion. Free and fair elections for the galactic Custodian would not be abolished. In unrelated news, updated voting machines were rolled out across the galaxy, with a cute cat design. This concludes our analysis of the Colonial Independence era. Please refer to the next chapter of this report for further details on the Accords timeline.